I had the second shot myself last week, and I've had tinnitus ever since.
I mean, I hope you feel better, because that was one hell of a way to start the show.
We're starting with COVID. Here we go.
Oh well.
No, I was just gonna plug that, right? Cowie's not gonna join us today, but that's okay. I told him to be well and get better, right? I haven't actually had that yet because it's not really available here. I mean, I'm really happy. Small Town Cowboy, I've been interacting with you a little bit on Telegram and in the community, and I've gotten to know you a little bit. NiftyQ, we've never met. I've seen you live with Corey a couple times. I've heard nothing but great things. So I'm pretty stoked to do this journeys into LADZ City on the Uplift, I guess. That's what we can call it. So yeah, welcome guys. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having us on, Jimmy, man. It's exciting to meet you. I had a great time with Corey on a couple of our interviews, so really excited for this one and excited to be with STC on this one as well. Tag team.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, like my sentiments as well. Like I saw those streams and it was great. I mean, I'm a little bit like tired, but I thought I'd be more nervous just because like you have one of the best radio voices of all time, and we get to see your face, so it's just like, you know.
Are you saying STC? Hopefully you're saying STC. Yeah, he does have a radio voice.
No, I really, yeah, it's weird. I don't know. My voice is a little bit raspy. So yeah, tell us about LADZ, like the LADZ City, the LADZ, like what you guys have created. Let's start with that.
Yeah, I guess I can touch on LADZ first and just the network in general. So it started out of a podcast. We interviewed the Roll team, who is a social token distributor. So social tokens are basically ways to reward your community and incentivize your community to participate via ownership in a network. So, reward points are often thrown out is a way to kind of talk about social tokens. And that's basically what we did. We created LADZ, the token, after speaking with Roll, and started incentivizing our community by saying, hey, if you show up to streams and you do these different things within our Discord or our Telegram at the time, you can get incentivized with LADZ tokens. We don't know what the hell we want to do with these yet, but this is going to be something that's cool. We're going to experiment with it. And from there, we just have grown this awesome Discord. We basically call it, like, I would probably say YouTube with a token is the easiest way to see us, a YouTube channel with a token. So really, we have this awesome community surrounding this content network that is filled with a variety of different shows. We have all of these different creators that come onto our channel that have their own channels already, but come in once a week. There's so many different things going on, but we definitely like to say we're a content network that has a social token community that is powering it. So I guarantee we'll get into the weeds here, but LADZ City itself, what STC is building, is something that he can touch on, but it really came out of the Discord being laid out like a city. We had an area where the new people would come in called Nomads Land, and then the hub, the main area, and then we'd have all these districts, DeFi, NFTs, all these different districts that would represent things in the industry that people wanted to talk about. But that's where I'll stop. I'll let STC talk a little bit about LADZ City itself.
Well, yeah, just before you go, like, you know, I just got off a stream, like a round table for two, over on the Crypto Writer channel, and we were actually talking about, what they built in their city, and like I really think that's interesting because a lot of communities have come in with this grand plan to be able to like showcase something. I think Metaverse was one. Like they kind of showcased what's going on in their comic books, like Crypto Writers showcasing what's going on in Finny. But I think it's interesting about you guys is I think when I saw Corey, he was actually on your channel. And I remember like watching that channel and just kind of, we might have been doing this like 1 or 2 weeks, like 1 or 2 weeks, like once or twice, once a week at this point in time. But I was just blown away by like how organized you guys were. Like you never missed a beat. Like you had this rhythm and this flow that I really respected. And like everything to me just seemed like so amazing. Like we were quite a small community at that time. And I was just like, yeah, these guys are rocking it. Like they really know how to build communities, right? So that aspect that you've actually taken something that was like not really a tangible thing, because it was like verbalized or vocalized in I guess the mythology of what you had created as that community, and then you're taking that and you're giving it to somebody like Small Town Cowboy to like actually lay blocks down on the ground and uplift to create that, like, you know, next evolution, that next step. Like that's just pretty cool to me personally.
Yeah, the lore has almost come about every episode, right? Something like randomly pops up behind me, like you see LADZ City behind me, which is not something we've been super direct about building. It's really been STC's mind taking what we've talked about on shows and then bringing it into existence. But as we get more direct with the building of the city, as metaverses start to evolve essentially into the years where we're actually in the metaverse, we'll definitely take a more direct approach and say, hey, we really want to build the district here and the town here, all these different things. That'll be fun. But thank you for those words.
And that's what sort of interested me, that I got involved with LADZ probably August, September-ish of last year, and really got welcomed into the community with open arms. It's a great place. There's a lot of helpful people there. I love, as we were saying earlier, how it's split into different districts. So then the Uplift opportunity came along, and I hadn't really done much in terms of Minecraft building up until that point. And I thought, well, here's a perfect opportunity to make this sort of visual representation of the city that we all hang out in Discord. So it started off, you know, we just had to get a few blocks down to start off with. So the first build on the plot was the LADZ Tower. I thought, you know, you have to have that central point there sitting right in the middle. And the rest of it is just sort of, I have included some of the lore. There are certain buildings, certain sort of establishments that we talk about quite often in Discord. And for me, it's exciting with the limited blocks that you get to use in Minecraft, how we can create something that looks like a city, but with detail and with extra little bits. How far can we push sort of Minecraft? And I think having had very little Minecraft experience up to that point, it worked in my favor, because I'm looking more at the building blocks rather than, you know, I think the traditional, when you first start in Minecraft, you build a little wooden hut and, you know, you plow your land round about there. But the fact that we have creative mode in Uplift has taken away a lot of restrictions, that we can just get straight in there and start building. And really on the plot, but I'll show you the plot in a bit, but the only building really that was planned at the start was LADZ Tower. The rest has just grown, you know, as I've gone along and built it. And I'm loving being involved. I'm loving seeing what you can do with basically a limited set of blocks.
Yeah, so which server are you guys on? Are you guys in the Gratitude or the Genesis, for people who don't know?
We're on Genesis.
Yeah, right. So, and that's funny that you say limited set of blocks. I just think that's hilarious. Because like, if you're in Gratitude, it's like really limited. But I know what you mean. Like I had a lot of fun, and I'm kind of similar to you. When I first started, you know, I started this show before I started playing Minecraft, right? And we haven't been doing this that long. I mean, in crypto time, Corey and I were thinking about it. It's maybe like 5 or 6 years in crypto time, which means it's probably been what, like 2.5 months. Like,
yes,
it's like,
I feel that.
But like, yeah, like we started, and I just had this plot with all ocean, and I, you know, built stuff out of glass and encased things and sucked water out with sponges, and you know, had a really good time. And then it got to the point where I'm a permaculturalist. I'm not sure if you know what that is, but you know, we go into landscapes, and we kind of hate flat landscapes. Like we hate what most farmers like, right? Like most farmers go in there and they if they can, they make it flat so that they can, you know, run their tractors and their machines over it. And for me, that's just crazy, right? I want hills, I want mountains, I want shade patches. I want to be able to, like, you know, reroute the water and trap it and let it hang there in the soil. create like little patches for like, mycelial networks that can, connect the trees and all this, weird hippie science shit, because it really is. It's like, and like, I think that to me is really cool. And I found this weird kind of synergy between the Uplift World and my design in that real kind of world capacity. Because now I'm going in and I'm looking at this and it's like, there's a lot of builders, and no offense to them because they're amazing builders. They've been doing this for a long time. They go in there, they flatten everything out, and they build these awesome builds and these awesome towers. And I go in there and I look at it and I'm like, I have no idea how you did that, right? But like for me, I might be on the same page as you. I go in there and I look at it and it's like, okay, well, maybe I could build a tower here and that would work really well with this backdrop, right? Like there's already a lake here, right? Like let's do it that way. And so I'm kind of curious as to like what your design is, because you took this like kind of, like, do you guys have you don't have a LADZ city anywhere else, right? It's just this vision in your head. There's no other, like, are there drawings? Like where did this whole thing start?
Yeah. I can touch on that really quick, because we went to the sandbox first. When we really got down to it and started thinking about what we wanted LADZ city to be and what it was, which was a visual representation of our Discord community. And I think most people haven't made that connection yet, that a lot of these Discords that people are in, those are cities. Those are little small towns. They're little tribes that some are big enough to be cities where you have these sub compartments that you're hanging out in every night or something like this. And we really wanted to make that visual. So we went to the sandbox to try to get a grant, and we put together a visual kind of map to say, hey, this is our hub area, and then here's all the districts and all this stuff. And they really just weren't ready for what we wanted it to do. Like, we want to incorporate our social token where it allows you maybe to have your own little estate where you're like up in LADZ Tower and you have tokenized access and all these different things they weren't ready for. And I still don't think they'll be ready for another 6 months, maybe a year. So that's what we did first. And then it just kind of dissipated, and we then got in talks with SmallTownCowboy, and he found the Uplift, and I'll let him take it from there. But we had this initial idea. Now we've kind of grown organically, as you would say, in the Uplift, which has been awesome.
It is. And for me, it's building on, whilst we're building in the Uplift right now, we've got one eye on, the other metaverses and how we can make a connection between all the different worlds. So it's building with that in mind as well. And as I say, trying to incorporate some of the lore of LADZ. But I've had a bit of help along the way. Thankfully, a couple of other fellow lads have jumped in, and one of the guys, Hanford, came in and laid out a bit of structure to the city. Because by that point, I was just building, where I felt, and nothing was really connected. But Hanford came in, and with the eye sort of looking at it from a city planner point of view. And I've then built upon that, where you have to have roads, you need passageways between the different buildings. You need little bits that will surprise people. You need to be able to go up and down in the buildings. So it's that side of it as well that I'm trying to make it functional, knowing it's a game that you can walk about or you can fly about. But it's that trying to give it as much realism as I possibly can, but for it also to have that LADZ identity, which I think it has. When you've been in the Discord, when you hear a bit of the lore about LADZ, you'll start recognizing some of the buildings, and hopefully that then, what we're starting with in this community plot is very much the start of LADZ City. When the plots start getting allocated round about us, for me, then that's where it starts getting more exciting. That there's a street in LADZ City that has a couple of plots beyond the end of it, and I'm waiting for that day that I can look down that street and see what somebody else has created, and it may be completely different with the sort of style that I'm trying to go with right now. But for me, that just adds to the excitement to see what everyone else can bring to it and how all that is going to link together.
Yeah, I wanna head in and maybe do some gratitudes and have a look at like what you guys built. If you're willing to give us a tour, that'd be really cool. And I was also wondering, I guess like each community is looking at these things a little bit differently now. Each community is deciding, what they're going to do with the plots that they received. And I think actually, if I'm correct, you guys should probably be in possession of those plots now. I'm pretty sure they went out earlier today. I'm not sure about that, but I think I read that somewhere. And I'm just kind of curious, what are you guys gonna do with the community? Do you have any plans for that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to have the discussions as a group and kind of really hone in on exactly what we want to do from a process standpoint. But having having the social token, yeah, I love that first vision. Having the social token and people that have, actual skin in the game via their ownership of this token, we could do things that would lead back into value capture within the community, which that a long way to say we could sell these for LADZ tokens. We could sell them for the treasury for our DAO. That would do a lot of cool things. So if someone feels like that is something that would be valuable for them, that they would purchase a plot around LADZ City, because I know you guys are working on different token mechanics as well, where you can earn by walking around or doing different events. Certainly if LADZ City is very popular, then we would be able to kind of say, hey, you'll be getting a lot of value for what you're doing around here. But TLDR, we haven't really decided on one factor, but we know that we want it to somehow relate to what we're building within a DAO, within a treasury, and all these different things.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's really cool. And I like the fact that you guys give it back to the community, right? I think that's I guess everyone's giving these plots to the community, but your community and you guys are one in a lot of senses from what I've seen. And I said that's amazing at the beginning, and I do concur that sign is pretty cool, but that actually wasn't what I was talking about. What I was talking about was your words, and you said, we're going to have this discussion as a greater community. That's pretty impressive to me, right? A lot of projects are just going to decide what they want to do, and that's cool too, right? They're going to delegate it to the people who support them the most, but you guys are looking at taking this to the next level, like you do everything, which is really cool.
And that's it. And the city is for the lads, so we want their buy-in. We want their input. We want them to get involved. Yeah? And I'll build to whatever the requirements of LADZ is right now. But almost at that stage now where we will get a few more builders coming in, so it won't just be my take on things. That should be quite exciting. This
is amazing. What's the story behind this greenhouse? What aspect of the community is the greenhouse? Because I want to be part of that. I want to run for captain of the trees or something.
I wish I could say I had a plan when I started this building. I wanted somewhere for the helicopter to land, and the rest over the space of probably a week or so of just stopping and looking at it and trying to work out what on earth I could do with it. I realized that across the rest of the plot, there's not going to be much in the way of greenery. So I thought, well, we have to have something there, that shows a bit of greenery, shows a bit of nature. And it sort of grew out of that. Again, it's one of those things that pretty much made up as I went along. And I'm quite pleased with the way it's turned out.
Yeah, and Jimmy, I do want to say, and since we're on the topic of gratitude, I mean, it's been really awesome to have the Uplift as a place that we can experiment and build LADZ City for the first time. That's immeasurable what that will do for us long term, and this will only continue to grow within the Uplift as well. So it's been great to see STC experiment, and that he needed that playground.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and what was it at the beginning of the show? Just started playing Minecraft. And this is what you get. I hope that I really hope that this is your experiences in life, because it's awesome. If you can come to this level of creative precision in such a short period of time, I would follow this community into the depths of hell, because that there's going to be trees spawning out of the lava that are going to give you magical fairy dust powers. That's what I would envision, right? This is pretty amazing. This is really well done. And to your point too, NiftyQ, we're actually honored to have communities like you coming in here and making this their own, making this their home. And it's going to be really even more amazing, I think, the further we all progress and you guys are able to come in here and have your centers and have your halls and have your meeting grounds and hopefully, you know, in the not too distant future, be able to have like real live events that are streamed where everyone can, you know, be on a stream like this and walking around and see their own screens, right? Like Corey always says, and I tend to agree now, like this has always been more than Minecraft. It's just a medium that we've been using to explore what's possible. And the crazy thing about it is like what we thought was possible is just the tip of the iceberg, right? Like, like having communities like you guys come in and build this kind of stuff. It's just like this. Okay, this happened. Now what? Right? Like.
I loved your comment earlier about permaculture, and really what you have there is like a vibrancy that you don't get when you like just lay flat everything. I think you just have like the world be vibrant, and that's what I think decentralized metaverses are missing right now. They're often times like proxies for events. Like you go into Decentraland, if there's an event going on, sweet. But what's really cool about hopping into like a World of Warcraft or all these MMOs is the ever present. Like you can just hop into the city and there's people walking around. I think that I can't wait for that. I can't wait to just have an ever present metaverse where people are just there all the time. Instead of maybe just getting there for an event and then busting out of there. So.
Yeah. And I mean, like to go back to Small Town Cowboy's comment at the beginning of the screen, right? Like all of this creativity, right, is created with very simple palette of blocks, right? And like you said, it's taken something that was flat, and I kind of feel like it's beautiful, but it's just added this whole other element to it. And like, I mean, I don't even know what to say about this, to be honest. Like, I look at this and I don't even know like how to create most of it, right? Like, I don't know how to create half of it, right? And so imagine when we get new people coming in here from communities like your own that are used to those other events, right? Where they're going and they're networking with people, and then they come in here and everyone leaves and they're not left there standing alone in a room. They're left to be able to wander around the plot and be like, hey, we had a conversation about that in Discord last week and they built something in the Uplift.
Exactly.
Right. It's gonna be really cool, I think. Yeah.
And again, that's what excites me, the amount of people who've stopped by the plot because they've either seen it on your streams or our streams for a chat to ask me how to do certain things. And, you know, I still, you know, I keep pushing this point, but it was only at the start of lockdown that was the first time I'd ever played Minecraft. And that was a friend of mine, you know, so he knew I was looking for something to do. He pointed me towards Minecraft, and it took a few months of, you know, playing about and laying blocks. Then I just thought, well, yeah, let's see how far we can push this. Let's see what we can make out of something where it's all blocks. It's all 1 meter by 1 meter blocks. And it's little details. It's things like, you know, like I'm showing the plane right now. And it's things like that where you just, every now and again, I'll add a little detail or I'll add a little bit. And that makes me stop and have a little smile to myself going, this is doable in this sort of environment. And I'm thoroughly enjoying it. But it's not just the build, it's the people I've met already, you know, from visiting the plot and, you know, having a chat with them and possible collaborations that may come out of this in the future. I've helped out on other plots. I've given advice to other players. And again, people are coming to us and, you know, pointing things out to me. So it's very much, whilst I'm the main builder, that it's very much a collaborative effort between the LADZ City Discord, but also the other players that we're getting to meet through the Uplift as well. For me, it's just such fun being involved in something like this at this early stage as well. Where's it going to go?
Yeah, I think it's interesting when you mix vision with community, right? I think it's interesting when you mix community with creativity, because we don't, even pre-COVID, we didn't really have that much of it, right? I mean, and I think out of all the bad stuff that came out of this, there was some pretty good stuff as well, because it's forced us to, I think it forced most people to seek out something that they weren't normally doing, right? And I'm sure, like with our community, we got a lot of people who came in that were like-minded, with your community maybe as well, with a lot of these big communities. And it's good, because in the real world, a lot of times we're kind of content to go out on a Saturday night and sit with people that, you know, we don't mind, but sometimes we might not really care if we're sitting there talking to them about what they want to talk about, because we want to talk about what we want to talk about, and we grow up a lot of times in this state, right? And to have that ability to come in and connect with like-minded people, there's so many communities like yours, but right, like to have that ability to come in and like shape the community that you're in. And that's kind of the feeling that I get with a lot of these larger communities like yours that have been going for a while, right? Like it's everything that's missing in the world, right? It's everything that's missing from a corporation, right? It's everything that's missing from like a local government. And it gives people a voice, but not only does it give people a voice, it gives people a voice that more often than not, other people will listen to. And that's really empowering as a society or as individuals, I think.
I love all those comments, man. I you know, for the longest time, I started looking at the way the world was trending into like more of like a globalism approach, and kind of just going out into the world, kind of not having that tribe that we used to have thousands of years ago, where we would form this tribe, not leave the place that we were from the day we were born to the day we died. And I think that change has not psychologically happened in our brain. We evolve over millions of years, not thousands, and our lives are so different than they were back then. I guess what I'm trying to say here is Web3, I didn't see coming. I always thought, okay, people would revert to really being focused on their communities in their hometowns or wherever they end up, local as opposed to global. But what I didn't understand was that local would happen on the internet. like we have a local community now within Web3, and we get together every day. Like this morning, somebody dropped that they needed a high res image, and I just said, hey, 250 LADZ for the person that, you know, does a high res image. And there were 30 people that just started commenting and trolling and also giving me the high res image. And it was just a great thing to wake up to. We had a good time, and it's crypto is just better together. You know, it's better to be doing that with people than just by yourself.
Yeah, I'm excited for the day when people realize that like wax is just one facet of this, right? Like Minecraft is just one facet of this, because I think there's so much more coming. And like, yeah, I'm just blown away by the camaraderie and the. By the way, I saw this for the first time on a stream with Corey, and I just freaking loved it. This is one of my favorite things in the whole Uplift. I shit you not. This is like amazing. When I saw this, I was like, "There's a movie, and they did something." I was just like, yeah, it was great. But yeah, like I think that like that ability to just give stuff away or to produce things doesn't always exist in the real world, right? Like think about how many creative people there are online that just go to day jobs and get yelled at because they've put an apple over a piece of bread or over a loaf of bread that like somebody didn't like, right? and they've got all of this bottled up, and they don't have a way to like release that creativity or release that value. And this is kind of dark, but it's the paradigm that we live in. And like you said, crypto is better together, right? And there are a lot of communities that have rallied around that statement, but we're still not there yet. We're still at that point where we've got infighting. Somebody brought this up on an earlier stream, and I thought this was really funny. They said, you know, like like since you've been into crypto, like how many friends have you lost due to politics, right? Like none, right? Like none. How many friends have you lost like due to them supporting other crypto projects? I don't know. That question never got asked, but I'd like to see what it would be, right? Like, and I got to give credit where credit is due. This is a good friend of Ken's and co-host and just an amazing soul, Nathan, that we had on the show earlier. But I think it goes down to like similar to like what you were saying, right? Like you have all of these people that have to do their day jobs and their creativity, their kindness, their hearts, their souls, their minds. It gets buried, right? And so what happens when we give them a place like this? What happens when we can tap into actual voice, or when we can tap into messaging, or when we can tap into levers? Because now I'm walking into LADZ City and I'm seeing Small Town Cowboy, and I'm happy. Like I'm happy that I ran into somebody. Even I don't know who he is, I'm happy. And I, duck down and I give a couple jumps, but that's about as far as I can go, right? And what happens when we actually transcend that? What happens when we can mix that original, community that was in Discord with what's happening here in the world? And I think it's just going to blow people's minds, right? Like I think it's like you said, we're gonna jump over a few numbers. I think when we go from internet 2.0 to I'm not sure where we're headed next, right?
But it's also so when you're talking about creativity, it gives somebody like me the chance who didn't think I had a creative bone in my body. I've never painted. I've never tried, art or anything like that at all. So for me to have come to this, initially, through lockdown, I needed to find a project. To the stage where we're at now, has unleashed something within me that, it's made me realize that, oh, hold on, I can put a few blocks together and make things look pretty, So for me, if it wasn't for crypto, it was that circuitous route that I came into crypto a while back, and that has led me to the point where I am now. Who would have thought that a year and a half ago, that I'd be spending a lot of my time designing cities in Minecraft? It is so far removed from my day job that I'm loving it. And I also find it quite therapeutic. I've said this before, but I can go into LADZ City and just spend an hour laying blocks and not thinking about anything else at all, or taking the time to stand at the top of LADZ Tower to see the sunrise, something that I never would have done. But I appreciate those moments now, So it's been a bizarre journey to get to this stage, but I have no complaints.
Jimmy, I want to flip the switch a little bit and be the interviewer here for one question, because I'm so used to being on the other side. As a permaculturalist and someone who's involved with just getting your hands in the dirt, what is your thoughts about us moving this way, where we're heading more into the virtual world? Like that is, sometimes those are at odds, in my opinion.
It's a good question. It's funny because I found a couple really nice rail plots in Chicken Call, and I ripped every possible thing that I could out of it and restored it, except for the rails, because you're not allowed to touch those, and the center walkway. And basically, like, I even ripped the stone for the center walkway out and replaced it with like a wood bridge, and like I restored it all to like as much as I could, like the actual, or I'm working on it, like the actual landscape that was already there. Of course, it has to be tailor-made because I don't know what was really there in some parts, but that was kind of my thing. And I don't know, like, I think the beauty of this for me is that I think there's a way to meld it. I like kind of living in the city, despite the constant hum in the background that my awesome mic picks up every show, because I need the windows open because it's hot. But at the same time, like, I need to be in nature, and that's always been a struggle for me, right? Like, so I'm actually, like, I'm in one of the biggest cities in the world, but I'm also in one of the greenest countries in the world. But I'm in one of the, like, least greenest cities in the world, right? Like, so it's like, it's a really weird dynamic there. But I think for me, what this is going to allow me to do, because going back to what Small Town Cowboy was saying about like this is so far removed from his daily life. Like, this is actually starting to become my daily life, right? Like I had a conversation with somebody yesterday that said, "Hey, wait, you have a day job?" I don't see how that's possible. You're always on here. Like, right? Like I'm losing my mind. But at the same time, it's like I'm at that point now where like I can legitimately see myself, moving someplace that's cheaper, someplace that's more in nature, someplace that allows me to wake up in the morning and maybe do a live stream or do a live stream in the afternoon after I've been out in the garden, growing my own food, and still have that social aspect, still have that community aspect, still have the ability to connect with other people in the world and have that atmosphere, right? And I don't think there's ever been a time where that's existed. Even with the Discord or the Telegram, as you guys know, like it's great, but it's not the same thing as being like on a stream like this where you're actually looking at something that somebody built or some place that people are hanging out, even if it's virtually, right? So I can see the dangers in what, certain things like Ready Player One might have alerted us to. But I can also see the vast potential, because for once in our lives, it allows us to all have the benefits potentially of living in the middle of some of the world's biggest, cultural areas, cities, but at the same time doing it remotely. Right. And having the benefits of living in the country. Now that's probably overtly idealized. I get that. Right. there's probably some major like problems with that. Right. But that's kind of the terms that I've kind of come to on my own, because I've thought about this a little bit before. Right. It's a weird place to go. Like for a while, I was kind of almost like ashamed. Like, oh, you're doing like live streams of like video games. You're permaculturist. You're supposed to be out like, shoveling shit on mushrooms. Like that's like, right? Like that's what gives you joy, but they're equally as weird and equally as useful, I think, right?
I love that. Absolutely love that. That's my one question, man. I just wanted to hear your thoughts that way. So,
I mean, but that's the thing. Like, I guess that leads into, a good question for me, for you guys. Like, what drew you here in the first place, right? Like what got you out of that day job? What brought you to like create this community? Like what got you online? Because that might be the answer. That might just be this might be an extension of that, and it might be different for everyone, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'll touch on that first. I'm a gamer at heart. When I was a kid, living under my parents' roof, I was gaming. So I had my first experience with virtual worlds when I was, 12, 13, 14. And, just hopping into something like World of Warcraft even for the first time blew my mind. I mean, that was the future to me when I didn't know how to kind of verbally say it. I might still not, but I could feel it. It was something different that was going to change the world. And I think, that World of Warcraft has shown us the way. Obviously, there were other MMOs before that, but that really got me into the mindset that there's limitless potential. And then you add a decentralized aspect where it's not a centralized team building all the parameters. Maybe we can build an ever-present world together. Like that's the next step, in my opinion. But gaming is what got me involved.
Yep, and I have to say, gaming myself, that I started gaming in the mid-70s. So my first game I played was that Pong game. Two sticks that knock the ball between the two. So for me, having started there, I think I tend to look at the gaming environment slightly differently. In that I'll go in and I'll play, say Call of Duty or one of those games, and I'm not the one who's running about climbing on roofs, shooting people, and listening to my team orders from my pals that I'm playing with. I'm the one who's walking about going, "Would you look at that waterfall? It's brilliant." Or look at the way you've done that tree, or it's that. How far we've moved on from my early days of gaming, that it's the environment and what we can create now with the tools that we have now that just takes my breath away at the best of times. I no longer get invited to play Call of Duty because I'm not much use, apparently. But I also remember Second Life, when that first came out, years ago, and the big promise that we were all going to move into this virtual environment, and big companies jumped in. My employer at the time had jumped in as well and opened up virtual offices within Second Life. And it didn't really take off at the time. And we're now, 10 years beyond, I think, when Second Life first came out, 8, 9, 10 years or so. And we're now starting to realize my vision of, what virtual worlds can and can't be. Then to expand that into this sort of metaverse talk that we all keep talking about, and that interconnectivity between worlds and what we can do with that. It's exciting for me that we're finally limping towards the, vision that where I thought we would be by now. And I think, a lot of gamers want that Star Trek, sort of holodeck type gaming environment. We're still a far way away from that yet, but I've got a VR headset. I've put the VR headset on and walked the streets of LADZ City in the Uplift from ground view, looking up at the buildings, look at what I've built. And that just blows my mind that, we're slowly getting to that stage, I think, where not that we're all going to live within a virtual environment at the same time, but it's going to be a mixture of the two, I think, as we move forward.
I'm not sure if I've ever talked to anyone who's walked through the Uplift with a VR headset. I'm sure there's other people that have done it, but I don't think that I've ever, what time is it? Where do you live? I'm getting on a plane. I'm coming now. And then whatever time, however long it takes there, I'll be at your door. Just meet me with the VR headset so I can walk through LADZ City with it. Because that sounds like just an altruistic experience, if I'm honest about it. Especially being you built it, right?
But that's what makes it just so surreal. When you are walking about going, I built this. And here I am walking the streets. And it was through a program called Vivecraft, which allows you to link your Minecraft account through to the VR headset and gives you that ground level view of what you just built. It's insane. But I'll put the kettle on Jimmy if you want to pop over, and I'll show you around.
I mean, I think that just must be really amazing. So, hey, I'm kind of stuck on Pong, but while I stay stuck on that, do you guys want to put up some gratitudes? Because I was just thinking, you were talking about Pong, I don't know, I've only been doing this for a couple months, but it'd be really cool if somebody could use 2 levers and a little stick, and we could figure out a way to make a ball go back and forth so 2 players could just stand there and do it. That'd be cool. I don't know if it's possible, but if it is, somebody build it. But it's funny, you were talking about old video games. We were on a stream the other day, and somebody had actually created a replica of Super Mario, right? Where they had tubes that you could go down. They had things that you could jump over, right? You went down, you had to make hops through lava. It was really well done. Rice, actually, Kent, from over in the crypto writer community, he's built these things with really cool puzzles and stuff, right? And it's interesting because for me, I totally want that, next level virtual experience, but it's really cool that I can come in and jump around like Mario, dressed as Aquaman, in the Uplift. That's really, really quite awesome for me. I really like it. And the reason I'm stuck on that is I used to, I don't really like shopping, but we used to have a small, or we still do have this kind of small fashion company where we do repurposing of some traditional materials. And we would often just take inspiration from walking around, some of the back alleys and places, and occasionally some of the centers in the town. And it's funny because I'd always be walking with the missus, and I'd just be like, that is absolutely amazing. And it'd be something weird, right? And she'd be like, what are you talking about? And it took her a while, but after a while she figured it out, and she's like, right, the table, that's really awesome. Because I wasn't pointing at the clothing, I was pointing at like the table, like somebody built this awesome table or this awesome display rack. So I can totally relate with you. It's just like, hey, what? Somebody, you get shot, but look at this wall. Like this is
SDC, I would not have you on my team, man, because we'd be 100 yards down getting shot at, and you'd be over there just looking at a building.
True. But I'm also the one who plays with every button when I'm in Call of Duty as well. So I'll be in the middle of a squad. The next thing I'll drop 2 hand grenades on the ground and everyone's running away. Maybe I should stick to things like Minecraft.
I love that you brought up the Mario piece, because I think that type of immersion in a game that maybe someone had already experienced is really cool. Like one of the reasons I think World of Warcraft did so well is because it was formerly like the RTS game, but then you could actually become a character in that in that first person environment. I think that's going to take off, man, where you can formally say, oh, I was playing Mario, and now I can actually be Mario, in a VR environment. I think that's really cool.
But like I'll add to that, right? Like, this is SimCity 2.0. And like, please don't take that the wrong way, but like, this is right. And it go like limited building blocks and limited things that you can do, probably more variety than SimCity, right? But like, this is it, right? Like, anyone can come in here and build these cities in their own vision. And like, that's like that throwback and modern ideas all converged into one metaverse is just going to be amazing, right?
And if you add to that, the sort of interoperability as well between the different metaverses, and hopefully you can earn an item in one game and use it in another game. For me, that's again is crazy.
You need to simulate a natural disaster here, SDC. One of these days, there's going to be a tsunami headed towards LADZ City.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, yeah, just be really nice to our server guys, so you can have it like come in slowly, wipe out the city, and then we can just roll it back 5 minutes.
As long as you promise that you roll it back again.
Right? I think it would be really good. Hey, so yeah, do you guys have a gratitude wall? Do you want to put up some gratitudes?
Yeah. Get you to the top of the tower.
Life's all about perspective. One of my best friends ever taught me about that. I think I knew it, but he really drilled it into my head. What's the best land to buy? Was a question that was put up here. Well, I mean, going with that mantra, obviously the best land to buy right now is something adjacent to this LADZ City, because it's awesome. But realistically, there's going to be different communities and different servers that do different things. So if you're new and you want to get involved, we have an uplist. If you're involved with any of the communities, you can talk to them. They have members that they can put on the list for our upcoming sale, I guess. You might want to be on that. It's going to be pretty sweet. Of course, you can pick things up off the secondary market and things like that. Go into our Telegram, or go. I mean, if you're part of the LADZ community as well, I think you guys have your own uplist. People will they can reach out to you and plead their case, and you have all willing power and authority to be able to throw them on your list. And if you don't, or if your list is full, come visit us in the Telegram, because we want as many community members from LADZ and other communities in here experiencing what they've built and what they bring to this community as we can. So do you want to go first, NiftyQ? Because I got to reset.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this has been a large project, but none of it could have been possible, I think, without Small Town Cowboy. So I'm grateful for Small Town Cowboy, man. We wouldn't be having this conversation here without him. It's a big project. It's complex, but it needed a lead, and he's taken it and run with it. So thanks, man.
Okay.
I see your Jurgen Klopp call out there.
like that. Trying to wear my Liverpool shirt today, but I thought that was too much. Got my great life opportunities, I think. Learn to spell as well. Right? Yeah. Okay, Jimmy, what would you like? What are you grateful for, Jimmy?
It's a tough one for me today. Like usually I come in guns blazing, ready to say something, but this one's tough because I enjoy all my streams. I enjoy like connecting with communities and connecting with people, and for the most part in the way that they want to connect. I try my best not to like overrun them. One of my favorite things is this stream because you guys get to drive, right? Like you get to go wherever you want, right? And you get to showcase like what's on the screen, which lets me better focus upon, you know, what you guys are speaking about. But you guys have brought me to the point today that I haven't been in a really long time. And I'm at this point where you're making me think like really deeply about what all this means, right? On levels like that are, you know, philosophical, historical, cultural. The divide between, you know, what was and what can and what will be. So I think for me, I'm grateful for opportunistic, profound conversations.
Opportunistic.
Profound conversations. And then there's not room there. So let's just go. Let's take out opportunistic because I need to do that. So sorry, I'm gonna drive the ship here. I'm grateful for profound conversations with lads, with true lads, because lads needs to be in there. With I don't know, with NiftyQ and SmallTownCowboy. Maybe that should be that, but yeah, like NQ and SmallTownCowboy. Let's do that. STC, NQ and STC. I'll abbreviate you, but like the abbreviation is only to get that on the sign because it wouldn't mean anything without you. NQ and STC. Yeah.
Have to abbreviate you to JD.
Yeah, I know, right? Like it's a long form blasphemy. This is a really nice gratitude, like a really nice gratitude wall, and I like the spacing. Like this is designed to a whole nother level. Like everyone puts up gratitudes, myself included, side by side by side. But you know, this gratitude wall in its sense is a piece of art, right? I mean, you're putting the name on the right hand side. I've never seen anyone do that before. That's pretty impressive. I mean, that's to me is almost as impressive as an airplane flying in the sky attached to everything else through a blazing trail of red smoke. I mean, that's like, I was just so blown away by that. It's great.
Is that attention to detail as well that I go for in this? You know? So trying to keep that conformity across different things.
I love it.
To Cowie the other day, he commented that one of the bits that he really liked was this, and all it is a flashing lamp, but it just says something about it adds that extra little layer, I think.
It so adds a little layer.
I love that we can bring what we talk about in our streams to life visually. I think like the context of what we talk about, like the dollhouse is right there. It always ends up somehow on our streams, and it's there. You know, you could create something and not have the dollhouse there and just be a building, and I think it wouldn't be as lively without that context. The no-tell motel, love it. This is great.
And of course, we know that we're on a PG-13 server, so obviously the dollhouse only sells fruit juice and soft drinks.
True.
Are you talking about the TV series, The Dollhouse?
You know, this is a good microcosm of how all this works. Buffalo just put up a random photo because we're trying to get involved in the metaverse, and it had a dollhouse sign behind it, and now that's just become a community, hub almost. It's been fun.
That's awesome. So I love it. I really love it, and the show too. That's not PG-13, but you should all watch it. This is the other thing. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never seen a truck, never mind a truck with a gratitude bumper sticker anywhere in this world. And that's just great, right? Like I've seen roads, there's a couple plots of the roads, but like there's transport trucks and like taxis and cars. Like that's just really impressive, right?
That was a challenge that I gave myself, because once you've built roads, then you have to build something on them.
Right.
And it's okay, how do we do that with the blocks that we have? The taxi is a bit low to the ground, but I think the trucks worked out okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed with that truck, if I'm honest.
The llama truck.
Yeah, that's a sweet rig.
One of our community moderators, Llama, so we had to have a nod to him. So this is Llama Removals.
Like the band hammer, basically. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Nice.
I love it. That's great. Yeah, and I think the attention to detail is really good here. You sometimes I missed it at first, if I'm honest, because just sitting up there in the sky and looking at these massive skyscrapers and all of the bright lights and the flashy things, right? Like I would have never noticed that flashing light had you not pointed it out, right? And now I can't not see it, right? And that's good.
That's what I'm hoping for, that when people come in, I know that we all have the ability to fly in the creative world, but I'm hoping people come in and hit it at ground level and walk about, and find there's other little hidden Easter eggs, scattered about the plot. At some point, hopefully, we'll start doing things like treasure hunts, where you start seeking out QR codes or, look for things about the plot. So it's incorporating them, and without wanting to show too many of them right now, but I want people to just come in, hit the ground, and walk about the city as you would do any other city.
Right.
And it has to have that feel about it. It has to have that accessibility. I'm building it very much with that in mind. And I have to keep stopping myself. I have to keep stopping flying about and hit it at ground level myself to see how it looks as well.
Yeah. Right. Yes, STC made a auditorium or an amphitheater basically, but I think that can be built out a little bit more because of that backbone of our content network, right? We have the LADZ City network, which we host shows every day. And just like you guys, like you're doing content, like how cool is it going to be in a city where there's always going to be something on the channel and there's always going to be something playing in the city. And we have all these different creators that have all their different channels. They come in once a week or twice a week or whatever they want to do and create content in the city. I think that's a piece that's going to be super cool when you can just hop in and, oh, there's something playing. Like that's always fun to me.
That's what I'm hoping for. And that's why I've made this sort of the green screen effect on the back of here, that hopefully we can do some chroma key or something. So you'll see the shows, in there. And I know Corey in the early days talked about a possible plugin where we could potentially stream live from within the city.
Yeah, I keep pushing him on that, and I think that needs to be a thing, and I think it will be a thing eventually. That's going to be the game changer, right? I think that's where we're going to jump over 3.0 to 4.0, right? Because imagine that, right? Like imagine you have different ways to interact with this world, right? Like somebody mentioned, or like up above, that there was a way to like, you know, do it on Discord. Obviously there's Zoom, there's these things like conference calls. It's a little bit different, right? Like, I mean, I could mute you whenever I wanted and not let you talk. But you're not gonna like, it's different, right? It's not the same thing as like lining up here, you know, in game and watching what's happening on the screen. That's actually happening in real life, or that happened before, right?
Yeah.
And choosing to turn around and walk away from it, like in game, right? Or choosing to go closer, or choosing to, you know, say, what, that Jimmy D guy's talking again, and he's just going off onto these crazy philosophical rants. And look at that wall over there that STD built. That's freaking great, you know. Like, yeah, sorry, you know. And like, I'm totally going to use long form content because I butcher things a lot. But we'll just pretend that didn't happen. But yeah, like I think that's where it all falls through, right? Like, that's where you can actually allow people that freedom to engage, that freedom to move, right? That freedom to do all of these things. And I'm really excited for that day when you know, nobody's watching me on YouTube, or nobody's watching you guys on YouTube. They're all there interacting with you in the audience, right? Like, doing whatever, right? Like, I think it's going to be a thing, and I don't know how long it's going to be, but I'm excited for that day personally.
Man, so in the last week NFT live episode that we had, we went to like a field trip, and we went to these different, we like put ourselves in the metaverse, quote unquote, but it was really just, let's take the photo of Bored Ape Yacht Club and let's put ourselves on a green screen and be there. Like, that's, I think, the first step. But eventually you're going to be able to go to the Bored Ape Yacht Club. You know, you're going to be able to go to all, and they're going to be filled with all these community members. That is going to be fun when you can just go to where the Uplift community is, and where the, I don't want to go to where the Bitcoin maxis are, but wherever they hang out in the metaverse, that's going to be fun to be able to experience that.
Yeah, like I'm not so worried, because right now we're on Wax and they're not gonna come here. No, just kidding. Like, we want people from everywhere, right? Like, yeah. I want that to be a thing, right? Like, I love Wax. I appreciate everything that it gives us in terms of NFTs, but I want Wax to win, but I don't want Wax to be like the be all and end all, because that means that other people aren't listening. And that's a problem for me. I want other people to realize how good Wax is and chase them down and try to be better. Like, that's the standard that I want to create, right? Like, I want other, you know, projects to come in and look at, you know, what you guys have built with the city and be like, that's pretty good, but I can do better. Like, please build me something better than what we just saw. And if you can do that, I will do whatever I can to support Small Town Cowboy to build something better than you, because that's what I want to see in the Uplift, right? Like, I want to see these people that are coming in and pushing boundaries and doing all of these things, right? Like, I want to see different communities like yourselves that are giving people different advice, right? Like, I want to see this open access of information and the ability to interact and engage, right? Like I think what Corey and I bring to the show, and now what Cowie and I have been bringing for this journey show, is good. It's great information. Are we the best show out there? No. But what I like about it is that we get to interview and hang out with communities such as yourself. And they're all unique and they're all different in their own ways. And putting all of those communities that close together, it's like the good version of how, you know, modern mega supermarkets wiped out small town, you know, community shops, right? Like, it's a good version of that, right? Like, it's kind of like, no mom and pop shops, but here there's mom and pop shops everywhere, right? You know,
man, the merging of digital property rights with building these things it's just, we're pushing the boundaries. I think it's so cool to have these convos, because we're literally on the front lines of saying, let's create these metaverses and have people actually own the assets within them. It's, no one else is doing it, you know, like, we're here on the front lines. It's fun convos for sure.
And that's what got me involved in Engine back in the day. You know, that the message at that point was that true digital ownership, you know, that spend time in a game, and you are actually rewarded now for spending that time in the game. But you can, the vision, which is only now coming to fruition, but that you can take something from one game, and it may not have exactly the same meaning in another game, but it is transferable. You own that asset. And, when we're now building in an environment like the Uplift, where it's that, as Jimmy was saying, it's that perfect mashup of so many different people with so many different skill sets and what they're bringing along to the different projects. What's that going to look like in 6 months' time, in a year's time? Once we are all in there and we all start really exchanging these ideas and pushing the boundaries of what we can do, not just in the Uplift, but with NFTs and the whole sort of, metaverse itself.
Yeah, I mean, we just, had a confirmation as Modi, who said that, like, the plots for you guys are in your possession, they're in your control now, right? And Callie and I were talking about this a couple of days ago, and we were thinking, okay, well, we're only about halfway through, not even halfway through the people that we want to get with, but we need to come back like almost directly after we're finished, and we need to do this again. Maybe space them out a little bit, but like you said, I think this world's about to get a lot less empty. I think these communities that are rallying, like that have been building things like yourselves, right? Like I can only imagine the number of your community members that just want to come in and hang out in here and see this and do it, right? So, I mean, right now, yeah, Chicken Caw is like a popular server, right? Like there's a lot of people interested in London, right? Those seem to be our two most popular servers, but like, don't count these other ones out, because their communities are just going to start to arrive, right? Like this is going to be like a massive game changer, right? So I'm really excited to come back, like you said, in 6 months, but maybe even before, maybe in 2 months, and like see actual streets with people walking on them, right? Like I'm really excited to see like a bunch of people jumping on that taxi and that transport truck because Liverpool lost again, right? Like I'm really
yes.
Sorry, again.
Sorry, man. I just had to throw that in there. Yeah, fair enough.
Go Blues.
But I really enjoyed meeting you guys. I should probably take a break, and I'm sure you guys have got stuff to do. But yeah, please come back another time. Like, please come back on the Journey show. Please come back. Maybe I don't think you've ever actually been on our Media Mogul show, but like, please come back and hang out and just keep doing what you guys are doing. And I'm gonna. The worst part about doing these shows for me, honestly, is that like I need to make time now to go and spend more time with these people that I've gained a whole new level of appreciation for. So yeah, I'm gonna try to come and hang out a little bit at least and with you guys, because I just really appreciate all that you're doing and bringing to the space.
Yeah, Jimmy, we'll get you a invite here to our Discord, and you can come in and chat about NFTs, chat about anything, man. Like we're just all over crypto, so we really want to have convos about anything. And I just wanted to give a quick shout out to the rest of the communities in the Uplift. One thing I'm super excited about once this starts to get built out is the collaborations between two cities or two towns and what you could do in that sense. I think that's going to be an underrated piece that maybe isn't talked about as much because the game isn't there in a sense. Oh, I lost your audio.
Sorry. Yeah, or builders from like different plots as well, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, so I do have one question, and it's a really bad joke, and that's why I held it back. But I mean, if it comes up again, I'm gonna have to bring it up. So we had a few shows last week, and we had the Nasty Hooks on. And I really like the Nasty Hooks. I just think they're genuinely funny people. And so we decided, yeah, let's go build some stuff together. So we went in and we just built this giant tree house. And yeah, it was funny because, like, of course, Drizzle, the minute that we got the first platform and he built the steps up to the top of the, you know, first platform, he pegs in a sign that says, like, no girls allowed.
So crypto.
So crypto. So yeah, I'm assuming that you know, that's not a thing with LADZ. So whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you know, come and join these guys because they're really nice community, and they've got a lot of valuable things, I think, to add both to the Uplift and beyond. So I hope you guys out there who this is your first time, you know, take a second look, because you guys are definitely worth listening to.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Jimmy.
Oh, right. I gotta do this all myself. So
Our vibe, our